What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of the Sit Down. As always, if you enjoy this video, please make sure you hit that like button and let me know what you think of today's discussion in the comment section below. If you're new around here, you just haven't done it yet, or you're seeing this video for the first time, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button below now so you never miss another Sit Down video. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into another mob case, and you see him on the screen, Angelo Ruggiano Jr. He is currently sitting in prison as he awaits an outcome, a trial, or whatever seems to happen next in this NBA poker gambling case. All 31 defendants were in court today. I want to give you a little update on the case, what's been going on. The back channels are hot with this case. A lot of people talking behind the scenes. What are these defendants going to do? Are they going to plead? Are some of them going to go to trial? Chauncey Billups is looking very dapper today in his gray tweed suit. Nice look from him. We've got someone that was in the courtroom today. She's been on the channel before. Let's bring her in. Pop Crime TV, our favorite, Lauren Conlin. Lauren, you were in federal court today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, it was pretty crazy in court because there were 31 defendants present, and they pretty much took up the back two rows of the gallery with their attorneys. So up front on one side, you had Chauncey Billups, his attorney, Mark Mukasey. And then on the other side, you actually had Tommy, I think is it Tommy Gilardo or Gilardi?
Yeah, Tommy Gilardo, yeah.
Gilardo. Okay, so he came in with Angelo Ruggiano, of course, because they are both in the MDC. So they were on the other side with Jimmy Fricaro, which is Ruggiano's attorney. And I didn't catch the name of Tommy's, but I'll have to get that later. But yes, so essentially it was a status conference hearing. So there was lots of logistics going on. And so one of the first things that was said is that the government, they're trying to get a protective order so they can upload the first batch of discovery, which is going to include, surveillance, footage, emails, phone calls, iCloud data, whatever. But they made it very clear that there is a lot of evidence here, and it's going to be about 1 terabyte. And that is crazy. Yeah,
that's a lot.
It's a lot. So a couple things. So the government moved to classify this case as complex because of that, and the judge agreed. There were no objections from any of the defense attorneys. So he categorized it as complex. And then because of that, he set the next status conference for March, and the government moved for an exclusion of time. So generally when a defendant is arrested, they're entitled to 70 days from, their arrest or maybe their arraignment to go to trial. And so with a exclusion of time, this obviously doesn't count. So I could just see, I got to tell you, I could just see on Ruggiano and Gilardo's face, mainly Tommy, when they said, oh yeah, we're going to have an extension of time through March, or exclusion, I should say, exclusion. You could see his face. He was just like, what? And then a few times, because the discovery is so voluminous and there's 31 defendants, some of the attorneys were like, well, this is going to take years. Like, this is crazy. We got to do this for years. And the judge finally said at the end, he's like, look, I've heard you guys say that you think this is going to take years. That's not what I want here. He said, I'm aiming to go to trial September of 2026. So I was like, okay, that's not bad. But the government also, for logistical reasons, wanted to group the defendants in 3 groups for the next hearings. And 2 attorneys objected to that, to them being grouped. And
let me guess one of the attorneys.
Okay.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Who one of them were?
Yeah.
Gerard Marone.
You're correct. Yeah.
God forbid you call any of his clients mobsters.
Well, yeah.
Listen, that doesn't exist. Remember.
Well, I'll stay out of that one. But he did not think that it would be fair to have defendants all go in separately, grouped separately.
Any reason? I mean, what would be the reason to not like? Because again, my whole question on this indictment, I know you know this too. Yeah. Like, you kind of see why the government gets kind of a raw deal a lot of the time with these defendants. So you have a defendant, Chauncey Billups, who likely never played poker in New York City. why is his trial out in New York City? I mean, it's just for headlines. It's to get him to walk out of court like you got him walking out of court. It's a headline grabbing case. Curtis Meeks's case is out of Texas and the South. Why is he having to come here?
So you bring up Curtis Meeks. His attorney stood up, and it was interesting because it's like they kind of had to stand up like you're in class or you're at a talk show or something, and then the microphone was brought over to them because they're in the gallery. But Curtis Meeks' attorney stood up and he's like, look, we're going to be filing a motion to dismiss because this venue is so screwed up. Like, we have no clue why we're even sitting in the Eastern District, or my client is sitting in the Eastern District of New York right now. All of this was done.
Well, I think he can answer that himself, the attorney, because they want to have everyone congregate in New York City. That's why. I got to ask you, was Shane Hennon there?
Yes, I actually wrote down he was there. He was wearing a turtleneck, a maroon turtleneck. He looked very Zohran Mamdani in the turtleneck. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going back to what you said. Why did they object to it? In my notes, I wrote a few things down about why they objected to it. And it mainly was because, I think that the defense attorneys, I think 2/3 are appointed by the government or whatever. Yeah. And then, only 1/3 are retained. And so they want to just make sure that they are all on the same page. They don't want to scramble for transcripts, from the last hearing to see what was said, what was argued. They don't want to try to, I guess I think they want to see what everybody's defense is so they can kind of all be on the same page as well, just a bit. So, and the government was like, look, we're not doing this for anything but logistical reasons. This is not strategic. And at one point, the judge, I think a third person stood up. Maybe it was Meeks' attorney who was like, yeah, I don't actually agree with them being separated either. And the judge was just like, okay, does anybody agree with the government here? And they all just kind of stood there. And so everybody kind of laughed at that. And then the judge finally was like, okay, so for now, we will keep everybody together for March. But, he just said, I can't guarantee this courtroom's available. Logistics could be tough because the Eastern District, the courtrooms, like the other courtrooms, are so small. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. They're tiny. So it could be rough.
Yeah, this is all much to do about nothing, I think, just because in the end, most of these defendants are just going to plea anyway. I don't.
So they made a note. The government said that several, he just said several, are in the beginning stages or talks of plea negotiations. He did say that. He didn't obviously say who, but that was said. So
yeah, I want to go back to Hennon. What was his demeanor like? A lot of people believe he's already cooperated. Is there any truth to that? Maybe.
It's interesting that you say that because he was one of the first people in court when the room was fairly empty. He was by himself. He wasn't even with his attorney yet. And so he just kind of sat there with his hands in his lap and his little turtleneck, pretty relaxed. So you saying that, okay. That's
well, I mean, I've made it clear for years he's an informant. I've always will say that he did it 10 years ago. I think he's one of those guys that already knows that he's good here because everybody knows what he's up to. That's interesting. The mob guys, what were they like? Were they pretty stoic, most of them?
Yeah, they were all super stoic. At one point, Ruggiero kind of turned around and seemed to be talking to a few guys in the gallery. I couldn't quite make out who he was talking to. But yeah, and I was in the security line with one of the guys. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head, but I complimented his shoes because they were really nice. They were like snakeskin with like these really great like gold buckles. And I said, I'm not trying to, stereotype you, but are you here for the 10 a.m. hearing? And he goes, unfortunately, yes. And he laughed. He was totally like funny about it. And God, who was it? He was so nice too. I forget who it was.
Mob guy, maybe?
Yeah, no, it definitely was a mob guy.
Yeah, next time they do this, I gotta come to one of these because I feel like I'd have a field day with some of these kind of cases. There's probably all sorts of people in the who's who. So you're really, again, a much to do about nothing. Because again, a lot of these mob guys in particular will likely just plead and move on with their life. Billups, what was his demeanor like? He looks pretty he looks pretty, good to go here. He looks like he's ready.
Yeah, I mean, he was very calm. He was very calm. He kind of sat back in his chair a lot. He didn't seem concerned at all. His I was surprised that his bond was $5 million. Damon Jones 200,000. I'm like, whoa, what are we doing here? He
Wow.
put up his home in Colorado, and his wife and his daughter were the suretors. This is stupid of me probably to say, and this is just probably a dumb female thing, but I didn't love how if you saw my video coming outside of court, I didn't love how he didn't like hold his wife's hand, she was trailing behind him. And I purposely didn't say, his wife, I forget her name. Piper, I think is her name. Yeah, Piper was there in attendance, and his daughters were there, because they're just like trailing behind him when it's kind of like,
I've seen that before. I think the reason for that is, I think it's in a way they're trying to shield them, because Billups knows that he's going to be hounded by you and everybody else. And it's a way for her to kind of stay out of it. She doesn't have to be subjected to that. I've seen that in cases
they were already in it. They were already in it.
Yeah. Well,
right,
and that's true. Like, why they come, right? Yeah.
Well,
that's a good point.
Yeah. So I was just like, why are you, I don't know. I felt a little strange about that. They didn't seem to sort of like his family, from what I observed, they didn't show a lot of like touching or like, and again, I've been there for every single, arraignment and even for, the MLB stuff. And you do see some sort of touching and, it's cool. There was none of that, but they were there to support him, of course. And I just thought it was interesting that he sort of just walked straight ahead and let them just sort of, follow him.
$5 million is crazy. That's a wild, Well, I think, and again, he's the headliner here, so they're going to make that be. I mean, again, that's a good headline. $5 million bond. I mean, the mob defendants have less than that, I would think. I mean,
except for Ruggiero, he was offering $5 million, and they were
the only reason he's still in is because of his witness stuff from years ago. Yeah. DiLeonardo, I think he's just more of, involved with violent crime in this case. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, they're gonna have to sit behind for a while. I mean, March is 4 months away. I
gotta tell you, I've been to all of Ruggiero's bail hearings. He looks progressively worse. And I said I kind of was like, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But I have to say that Jimmy Ficarro had a great argument as to why he should have been released multiple times. I mean, I was just shocked that basically he said, like, this has been an investigation, an ongoing investigation since 2023. That's when Ruggiero found out about it. He hasn't done anything since then. He hasn't tried to talk to anyone. He isn't, it's just like, so if he was going to do something, he would have already done it. That's number one. Number two, the witness tampering stuff was from 2008. They made it very clear. And it's kind of funny. I think I included in one of my articles, Ficarro just said, he's got a rat in his cell, Judge. What did you want him to do? Give him a kiss? Like he literally, like, he paid his dues. He was convicted on this. He paid his dues. It was a long time ago. He'd be stupid to leave his family homeless and do this again. Right. So I just felt like it was a decent argument that they were like, nope, sorry.
Yeah, Ruggiero is what? I think he's only in his early 50s. So he's I mean, he comes from a long line, and his father was who he was. Let me ask you, DiLeonardo, was his girlfriend there?
What does she look like?
Beautiful girl. She was on Mob Wives, pretty girl.
Yeah,
you would know her. She reached out to me. She didn't like my Instagram I did about him. She wasn't very happy with it. She's very, very loyal. I'll give her that. She loves her man. You would have noticed her. She's hard to miss. Beautiful girl.
There was some beautiful women. I mean, I noticed Chauncey's family right away.
Oh yeah, very pretty people. Yeah, beautiful, a lot of. I think if you're looking for a good, beautiful group of people, these people are a lot of them. A lot of good people around them. So Hedden was there. Meeks was there. Yep. Awadi, what was his demeanor like?
Oh, wait, sorry, who?
The Amir Awadi, was he there?
Oh, I didn't
You didn't see
No,
him?
I didn't see him. I think is he on the other indictment or is he on this one?
He's on this one.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing. I mean, again, there was 31 of them, so if they didn't really make a big
Was the
deal or yeah,
okay?
about anything, I didn't really notice, I
Would you
guess.
say that most of the people here, like, they're likely to plead? Like, was that kind of the thought?
I don't I mean, I first of all, I don't see Chauncey doing any type of plea because I mean that you'd be pleading out to a felony, I'm assuming, and
Yeah,
that's
I think other than him, probably, but
well, I think for some of these guys, it probably would be the smart thing to do to just, if you can get yourself a what would it be like 18 months, 20, I don't
yeah,
know, like something like that, just do it. These guys are facing like 40 years.
yeah,
So
that's
I
nothing
don't
for
know.
these guys. A lot of them.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I would say probably do it, especially if you have priors, right? What's another felony?
Yeah, I would say I would think Billups won't, but I mean, you know, I think he's playing with fire there. I guess we'll have to see. I mean, if they threw to him, like, look, we'll throw you in
Yeah.
some summer camp somewhere. Like, I feel like maybe he would run with that. But I mean, he's ruined his life for this. He's no longer a coach. You know, he's got a couple indictments he's dealing with here, as we know. So
Well,
when
he's
so that
not officially named on the other one yet.
that's true. That's
There's
true.
no, I mean, so you're
I
right.
always assume that he was, and you're right, he wasn't.
Yeah, but we believe he's right, co-conspirator number 8 or something like that.
I mean,
Um,
unless there's another player or coach that was played for this team from this, yeah, it would, yeah,
well, I mean, it sounds I got from the Damon Jones arraignment. I felt like I got the sense that he could be in talks with the government. But I think he's so far gone at this point. Like he's just become such a loser. Like, excuse my language, that's my opinion, or not language, but just for being so, brazen about it. I think he's such a loser that it's like, all right, I'd rather do, 2 years versus 40 years. So let's
yeah.
just
I
go.
think Damon's pretty accepting of it. I mean, he pretty much did what he did. There's text messages. It's hard to argue it at this point, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And the
Um,
guy's putting up his parents' $200,000 house for,
yeah.
I mean, that's you've had this career. That's pathetic of you. Like, what are
Yeah,
you
I've heard, and this is just from what I've heard in this. From what I understand, he has a pretty bad gambling problem. As
Yeah.
far as I think that's kind of why he's in this predicament.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many of these. I'm gonna guess, and I'm gonna bet with you here. I'm gonna guess all but 3 to 5 plea, and the other few will cooperate. And I think Billups will go to trial, but I think everybody else will resolute their case quite quick. Um,
Yeah.
Hennon, like I said, I already know what he's up to, I think. But so the next hearing will be in March.
Yeah. So it'll be in March. So basically, the government has already started to post some motions to the docket, just sort of describing the type of evidence that they have, what they're going to be uploading, but they want a protective order. So once they get that, they can start handing everything over to the defense. And they also were talking about how, like, they want really like one defense representative to sort of take charge and distribute all of the discovery to the other defendants and the other defense teams, just because this really is crazy. I can only imagine. And even at one point, the judge was like, I thought, I had said initially, like I want to handle all of these bail modifications that everyone's asking for. But he just kind of was like, I got to kick this over to like XYZ judge. So they were all like scrambling, and he's like, I'm good on this. Like, this is just a lot. But the Judge Reyes, I will say he seems great. I think that everybody is in really good hands with him. I think that he is super fair. I mean, even with the arraignment, from what I've seen at the Eastern District with other magistrate judges who have done certain arraignments, like this judge, he's looking at Chauncey's kid and his wife, and he's like, I don't have to interrogate you guys, right? About being a shirter. You're aware, the attorneys, like he didn't embarrass them. Not that it's the judge, but not that other judges purposefully embarrass people by asking how much money they make and stuff they're supposed to. This judge was just like, we've got it on record. Don't worry. He was just very
He's been a judge. He's been a judge for like 20 years, I think. So he's
yeah.
been around for a while. I do know Meeks got blasted though at one of the hearings because he's involved in other cases, and I know he's tried to have public defenders, and the judge said, you flash all this money on the internet. You're not no public defender here.
Yeah,
Get
he
your
had a
own.
different attorney this time. So
Yeah.
I got to check and see if that, because she said you're in his arraignment. She's like, your income per month is very significant. Oh, he
Right.
also got called out because he wanted, okay, in my opinion here, I was at the arraignment, you know, when they had all these conditions on what would happen with, you know, he's home detention at this point. They had every opportunity to say XYZ. All of a sudden at this hearing, Jeff, his attorney's like, well, he takes care of his grandmother. He does. And then he's like, also, you know, he trains boxers and he's got to be here, here, and here. Oh, and then he has to see his kids. The judge is like, so what about his kids? Like, what are you saying? Like, it was just kind of a mess. And then the government's like, yeah, so let me just tell you about Curtis Meeks. He's already been convicted on bail jumping. He also was charged with failure to appear in another case in 2024. I mean, they just were like going down this
Yeah,
list.
he's got a long rap sheet there.
Oh, 100%. So yeah, it's like, oh wait, you've already gotten charged with bail jumping? Slow your roll on these modifications.
By the way, too, you mentioned 31 defendants. I remember in 2011 there was a Mafia takedown day, 130 defendants. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Wow.
that was a big one. So yeah, this actually is decently small, but it is a big story nonetheless. I saw your video. You got Chauncey walking out, and there were two that did not walk out today, Ruggiero and DiLeonardo. They are behind the wall. Lauren, we'll keep up to date with this. So in March, all the defendants will be back there again.
Yep, they'll all be back. That's the next one. I got
maybe we'll schedule that for me to make my little trek up.
You should. It'll start to get a little bit warmer, I feel like, in New York.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
It's cold waiting out there for these guys, especially if they're like getting equipped with like ankle monitors and stuff. You're stuck waiting out there forever. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, they sure take their sweet old time. I know you got to get writing. Thank you for coming on here. Thanks for always jumping on. And it's cool because Pacer takes so long sometimes at updating things. So it's nice to have you around. And everybody check Lauren out. I'm going to drop her YouTube channel in the pinned comment. Go check her out. You're working on all sorts of different cases. Are you going to be at Mangione? Are you doing that?
Yeah, I mean, he's got some suppression hearings coming up very early December that are supposed to take 2 to 3 days. I'm planning on it. Jeff, I don't know if I have it in me to like get up at 5 and wait out in the cold.
Yeah,
so.
That's the point. Yeah. I remember Tiffany Fong, I know she was big with the Sam Bankman-Fried case. I remember she waited out. It was during the summer though, so she didn't have to worry too much. I want to tell you one thing before we go. I got in contact with one of the, have you seen those girls that like go to the court case for Mangione? They're like supporters of his.
Yes.
So I reached out to one of them on TikTok because I was curious about interviewing them. Like I'd like to speak to someone. And she was all on board. And I called her a lunatic. And she got really worried, upset about that. I haven't heard from her since. So I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. But yeah,
they don't like that. They think it's really normal to wait out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to a girl the last hearing. And by the way, I'm the same as you. I waited outside for Diddy in the summer. I don't care.
Yeah.
Summer, I'll get up fine. In the cold, in the dark, bye. Like, no. But anyway, it wasn't cold, but it was dark when I got there from Mangione. And I got there at like 5:30 a.m. The women that I spoke to that were waiting outside, they said 30 hours they had been there. So
yeah, I got to say, I mean, that would be a fascinating trial to be at, but I mean, just to be there, just to get a glimpse of him, you have no real particular reason to be there.
Well, let me tell you something else about this. This is a circus on purpose because anybody who is like me and frequents hearings at Manhattan Criminal Court, the defendants come in through the jury box. They go through a different way. They're in a different holding room. All right. Mangione, it's a spectacle on purpose. They bring him in through the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
Shackled with and so cameras are allowed to be on him. And you're like, since when is this a thing? This doesn't normally happen. You're doing this on purpose. Fine. Yeah. But the last thing I'll say is I do understand why some of these girls go and wait all that time, because when he's walking out and leaving, I watched him make eye contact with like several of them. I mean, he was feeding them. Like he was giving them what they want. I don't know if like he was definitely like making it worth their while. And I don't know if these women are coming home being like, oh yeah, like that was a marriage proposal. But
I gotta wonder,
yeah.
you ever think, I mean, you have kids. I mean, you ever think like when you're older, you know, you gotta wonder some of those parents, like they see that and they think, you know, where did I go wrong with my daughter? That this is where she is in life. You know, she's not waiting out in line for a job or money.
Nope.
She's waiting in line to make eye contact with an alleged murderer
Yeah.
who
Exactly. An alleged murderer who, you know,
but you can understand why I'd want to speak to someone like that. It's
yes, no,
fascinating.
totally. But they're going to tell you the same bullshit that I'm just going to be like, listen, did your healthcare change? Did the world change? No, this kid ruined his effing life, bro. That's it. Nothing changed in healthcare. Sorry. Like allegedly he ruined his life.
No, it's very fascinating. But either way, I can understand why you wouldn't want to wait out in the cold in the winter. Either way, thank you for jumping on. Thank you for letting us know what's going on with this case. I guess we'll have to wait and see what's next. So I think it'll be a slow burn, but we'll see. Thank you for coming on, Lauren. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep. Thanks everybody for joining. As always, just wanted to give you a little update on the case. Like I said, I think a lot of people are going to plead here. I guess we'll have to see. My guess is most mob guys plea. I'll see you next time here on The Sit Down.